Hi, I'm executive coach Amy Sanchez. Lately, I've had quite a few leaders come to me during executive coaching sessions and tell me that they received feedback that they needed to improve their executive presence. As we dug deeper into what that feedback meant and how to take action on it, it became clear that they were quite confused by the feedback. They actually didn't know what it meant that they needed to improve their executive presence. I imagine that's not just happening to my clients. So I wanted to spend some time demystifying what executive presence is and what to do if you get that kind of feedback. Now, I'm going to cover a couple of things in this video. Number one, what is executive presence and how has it changed over time? And number two, what can you do to improve your executive presence? So first, let's talk about executive presence. Now, the definition of executive presence has changed over time. As we think about the paramount leader and what we wanted to exemplify in the 1990s, the leader Jack Welch might come to vision for you, might be the image that you think about. Now, Jack Welch was a very famous CEO of GE who drove years and years of growth for GE, but had a very distinct leadership style where he led by fear, and he notoriously cut people who were underperforming in the organization. And so he created a culture that really was actively competing with one another and not collaborative. It was a pretty harsh leadership style. However, it was one that many people tried to emulate back in the 1990s. Today, executive presence and leadership and how to motivate people has changed. So what the important thing in the workplace today is that we pay attention to how to motivate people at the individual level while paying attention to mental, physical, and emotional well-being. As you can imagine, that doesn't go hand in hand with leading by fear. This was a book that was written by Sylvia Ann Hewlett called Executive Presence. This was published back in 2013. What Sylvia says in this book is that there are three pillars to executive presence to tune into if you are looking to improve yours. Number one, how you act, gravitas. Number two, how you speak, communication. And number three, how you look, appearance. Now, if you're like me, you're looking at these three pillars and thinking, well, how you act, how you speak, and how you look is widely open to interpretation. So as you think about embodying the best style to really highlight your superior executive presence, you are really beholden by those who are at the top, who are applying their unique lens and interpretation to how you act, how you speak, and how you look. In the corporate workplace, yes, we've made a lot of progress as it relates to diversity, but we still have a long way to go. According to the Harvard Law School Forum on Corporate Governance, and this was released in February of 2023, of the S&P 100 in the C-suite, only 23% were people of color, and only 28% were women. So as we think about executive presence and the filter that those at senior positions are using to judge how you act, how you speak, and how you look, there is an image that they are looking for. And if you don't, there is an argument that I've heard that if you don't fit squarely into that image, why even try? Well, I am here to tell you that if you don't look and act like those at the top, and even if you do, you still can have a great executive presence. So as we take away the filter of those who are judging you, what can you tune into based on what you can control to improve your executive presence? There are two things that you can really focus on to improve your executive presence. Number one, no matter who you are, no matter what position you hold, you will likely gravitate towards somebody with confidence. So number one, as it relates to improving your executive presence, improve your confidence, how you feel about yourself. Now, when I talk about conveying confidence, I'm not talking about the kind of confidence where you get up on your soapbox and you declare to anyone within hearing distance how great you are. The kind of confidence that I'm talking about is the kind of confidence where you display authenticity, you display vulnerability, and you leave space for other people's gifts to also shine in partnership with yours. That is the kind of leadership and the confidence in leadership that works in today's corporate environment. Now, in conjunction with confidence, the second thing that you'll really want to tune into as you think about increasing your executive presence are, what are your triggers? In this today's leadership realm, the question is not if you will be triggered. The question is how will you respond when you are triggered? Corporate America is a competitive place. Capitalism is alive and well, and there are a lot of really talented people who are competing for the top spot. It is naturally a competitive environment. Now, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. That's how we get better. However, that does mean that you're going to get triggered, and you're likely going to be under a lot of stress in that environment as well. A big piece of executive presence is when you are triggered, how do you respond? Do you remain cool, calm, and collected and continue to embody the brand that you want to bring to work, or do you lose it? Being really in touch with what your triggers are and how to appropriately express yourself when those triggers, those hot spots are pushed, is going to be incredibly important as you think about the leadership image that you portray, the executive presence that you portray. People want to know that you are a leader who is stable and reliable. And when you lose your cool, your credibility diminishes. So on your quest for improved executive presence, think about your triggers. Now, the third thing I'm going to throw out, I know I told you two, but I'm just going to throw out one more thing. As it relates to how you look, sound, and act, the one thing that I will bring your attention to is show up in a way that isn't distracting. So for example, I'll give you an example. If you are in an environment where people are dressed up in business casual or business formal and you show up in your sweatpants every day, that is going to be distracting from the message that you were trying to convey. It's going to distract people from the years of experience and education that you've invested so much time in bringing, and they're going to be focused on your clothes. So don't let that happen to you. Read the room. Conduct yourself in such a way where the image that you're bringing doesn't distract from your message. Does it have to be the same? No. In fact, I encourage you to display your own identity, but just check in and gauge if what you're bringing to the table every day and how you're presenting yourself externally is really in line with the message that you're trying to deliver. I hope those have given you a couple of things to think about and some empowering ways to move forward as you think about improving your executive presence. One thing that I'll throw out is if you are on this journey of really trying to figure out what your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your leadership style should be so that you really can improve your confidence, understand your triggers, and increase your executive presence, I have a great program that I can take you through via executive coaching that will help you get very familiar with yourself. So to learn more about that or to contact me, you can go to my website, swim-against.com. Again, I'm Amy Sanchez, executive coach, and take care out there.